we've done this on our on some videos over the last couple of weeks, where we take a look at some teams in the league before we get into the losers in free agency. For lack of a better term, and I'm a little bit loath to go with this branding, but whatever. We're calling it "What's Going On With." And we did it with the Mavericks, and we did it with the Pistons. So we're now going to bring it into the main pod. The other ones are available on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, but now we're going to bring it into the main pod. So what's going on with the Denver Nuggets as we take a look at their moves and what's headed forward? The Nuggets made three significant moves this offseason. One, they signed Nikola Jokic to a contract extension, which was kind of a no drama, because Jokic said at his exit interview, "Yeah, I'll sign it." It was like the greatest extension for an MVP in league history. And of course, they lost their general manager, or team president, I guess his title was, Tim Connolly, to Minnesota. Calvin Booth was promoted behind him. But the two significant maneuvers they made to their roster, they traded for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and then subsequently extended him 2 more years. He was on the last year of his contract, making $14 million. They extended him 2 years at $30 million, $15 million a year, a reasonable extension. And then their significant free agent signing was, no, not DeAndre Jordan, was Bruce Brown.
I was going to say.
That was a little bait for you, McMahon. They signed Bruce Brown away from the Nets on a 3-year deal, actually a 2-year deal, player option, second year, for the taxpayer mid-level, as they are going to be a taxpayer this year. So the big thing about the Nets, McMahon, is that, everything about them is the health of Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. Porter Jr. gave an interview in Vegas Summer League saying that he was feeling good, expected to be back. I don't know if we can count on that, but I think any discussion about the Nuggets starts with the health of those two guys. Those are their second and third best players.
Right, because if those guys are healthy, this is a legitimate contender. This is a team that, without those two guys, was a playoff team. Jokic is, 2-time MVP. We can debate, where he ranks as far as players you want to have on your roster, but it's a very short list. They did give up Monty Morris, who's a quality player for them, to get Caldwell Pope, but with Murray coming back and Bones Highland,
they're big believers in Bones Highland.
Yeah, and that's a bet that I'm willing to make too. He was a luxury, and so what they've done is they've gotten 2 guys in Brown and Caldwell Pope, who I think fit really well, complementing their core. Murray is going to be a year and a half removed from the ACL. I'm willing to bet on him being at least close to what he was before, which would be a really, really good second option. The wild card to me, because of his back and because of his head, is Michael Porter Jr. If you're getting kind of the peak version of him, then you're getting one of the best catch and shoot scorers in the league. A 6'10" guy with a beautiful stroke, with a quick release, who kind of knows how to move without the ball, who fits really well playing off of Jokic and Murray. But who knows what you're getting from him? And I would say the one big mistake that Tim Connolly made during his tenure running the Nuggets was giving him that full rookie max extension without the injury protection. It's a risk that
we gave it to him about scary. 3 months before he needed another surgery, which I mean, it was a risk no matter what. But the fact that he immediately, maybe even was hurt already, I don't know. But actually, I don't know. Let me take that back. I don't know that he was hurt already. But
why did he fall to 14th in the draft? A guy who was considered the number 1 overall pick.
Taking him 14th in the draft and giving him $170 million are 2 different discussions.
Right. Great pick at 14th. You needed to at least mitigate that risk on the max extension. And again, mainly because of the back, but also there's been a lot of things with him that don't necessarily scream reliability.
Yeah. I mean, you hit the nail on the head across the board. If this team is healthy, they're one of the 3 or 4 best teams in the West, I think, pretty clearly. we saw them very briefly with the four guys together, Jamal, Murray, Porter, Jokic, and Gordon. They looked really, really good. I love the Bruce Brown signing. I think he's got a chance to be a fantastic fit there. Like, you look at Jokic with his ability to hit cutters, like the way Bruce plays, cutting to the basket, being a pest on defense at the other end. Like, I think he's an awesome fit there. I really like that move when it happened early on in free agency. And while they saved money doing the Monty Morris trade with him and Will Barton for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Ish Smith, KCP is a guy that gives them another 3-and-D guy on the wing, a more natural 3-and-D guy than a guy like Will Barton. So that could potentially help them too, but it all does come down to health. Does Jamal come back? I mean, look, Jamal Murray's a great player. He also hasn't made an all-star team yet. Like, does he have another level to go in addition to being healthy? Can he get back and sort of take one more leap? Can Michael Porter, as you said, get on the court? But you have that group of guys together and they're all healthy, I think they're going to be a really tough out in the playoffs next year. And Jokic has caught a lot of grief for losing in the playoffs the last 2 years. He lost in the last 2 years with the second and third best players on the team not playing.
Right.
So, let's see what happens this year if those guys are healthy and ready to go when it gets to playoff time.
We'll say this: the Nuggets haven't paid the luxury tax in 12 years. So they're going into the tax with this team. It's not something that the Cronkies have done a lot before. Obviously, when you have and they're going into the tax basically because they, it's not so much for Jokic. They're going into the tax because they decided to pay Michael Porter. So he's a huge swing piece for them. I don't think he has to be a superstar for them to be a contender, but he's got to be really good. So that'll be interesting. And, the one thing that they have been able to do really effectively over building this team was they've drafted very well and they've developed those players. Jokic was a pick. Murray was a pick. Porter was a pick. The
Bones Highland is a late first round pick
for sure. And they've had other guys that were successful picks that they've traded for. So, the key is going to be, can they continue to use that pipeline? Are they going to still be able to develop around these guys? Because they need Bones Highland to be really good. The decisions they made this offseason to set that up.
They need Zeke Naji to be good too. I mean, you talk about DeAndre Jordan, but like the moves they made this summer have opened up a lot of playing time for him. He's a pretty interesting young guy too. Like, he's another guy that's got to be good. So there's a lot of questions, but there's also a lot of upside. Like, they could be a really, really, really good team.
Yeah, and they will be a really good offensive team. If Porter's healthy, they will be a great offensive team. And then the question is with Jokic, despite the fact that he has made drastic improvements as far as a team defender, but can you build a contender caliber defense around Jokic? And if you're going to do that, the move for Aaron Gordon was certainly a step in the right direction. We didn't see it a lot, but remember how good their record was after the Gordon trade before Murray got hurt. Getting Caldwell-Pope, getting Bruce Brown, they've got these pieces. Having DeAndre Jordan really motivating them, waving a towel on the bench.
Right. If you look at their last three significant acquisitions, Gordon, Caldwell-Pope, Bruce Brown, they've all been defensive based acquisitions. So that, at least shows a vision there.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.